Good morning. Are we still celebrating Chamisha Sar B'Av here? Tu B'Av? Why don't I say Tu B'Av all the time? It's easier to say, right? Tu B'Shvat. The Rebbe didn't. It was like a Zionist cultural thing, and the Rebbe didn't endorse that. He used the terms that in the Mishnah, Chamisha Sar B'Av. So that shortened version never really took. But it's interesting when you look at it, Tu B'Av, because the number 15 becomes very significant. And I just want to correct the mistake. Good morning. I just want to correct the mistake that I made about Parshas Veschanan, that Moshe Daven, I gave some number. It seemed like it was from a lottery, like a random number. Okay, the number is 515, and it has significance, as we'll learn this morning. Good morning. So I said like 1,115, and that was like a lottery number. It's the winning lottery number. Okay, take that number and play it on whatever your lottery is. Okay. Because that was just stupid. Anyways, the number is 515, and we're going to see why that's significant, because it's got 15s in it. It's got 15 and 500, which becomes significant. Okay, what is 5 always? Good morning. What is 5 always? 5, we have 10 fingers, right? We have the right hand and left hand. 5 is always the right hand and the left hand, because it's all the fingers that represents the hand. So it becomes Kabbalistic instantly. The number Yud-K, God's name Yud-K, is 15. And that has great significance, that particularly that name of God. It's really geschmack what I found. Okay, but first I want to tell you about today's Yom Yom, because it speaks about fire. Oh, speaking of fire, I have this fire to speak to you guys, okay? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this week. I woke up at 4 in the morning to get ready for this morning's class, or video, or whatever you want to call it. 4 in the morning, because I got to like take off to the cottage country, way out there. And I don't think I'm going to have internet again, which is like, I can't believe it. I didn't see that in the fine print. Okay? I'm not like, what am I going to do out there? Oh my goodness. What am I supposed to do? Bring my library with me? If I don't have my... Okay, whatever. What am I going to do without my vehicle? What am I going to do? Not a vacation for me, no. Well, I was up, I was at the other cottage, and I was able to speak every morning, good morning. And that was a good vacation for me. Okay, so today's Hayom Yom Yud Menachem Av. The Tzemach Tzedek explains why fire is likened to the inner dimension of the Torah. Because that puts vitality, energy into your general learning of Torah. If you don't understand what God is, you don't understand what Torah is. So it's very important. That's the Chayas of Torah. That's what we're speaking. We're speaking about Chayas because the Rebbe said that is what Mashiach is going to introduce to tzaddikim, to make them to do tshuva. Because Mashiach is going to bring tzaddikim to do tshuva. We're all going to be tzaddikim first, and then we're going to do tshuva. And Shem Shmuel, famously now in my world, says that Mashiach ben Yosef is going to precede Mashiach ben David, and he's going to plow our hearts, make us ready to experience what Mashiach ben David is going to give us. So we're going to be tzaddikim already. And Mashiach ben David, he says, is going to be like a planting in us of such godly revelations that we're going to feel like everything we've done until now is nothing. Because when you approach the infinite, if you believe in God, like what he is, like we say he is, like if you really appreciate God, yeah, the infinite, it's big, okay? So if you're not sensitive to these things, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But if it's your whole life, if you make that your whole life, you could be like the most pure, good person in the world. And you're going to see that as good as you are, God is going to give you way more. And that's going to make you feel like, wow, I've done nothing. Okay, that's what it says. Today we're learning just about, that's why fire is so significant to me, because the Rebbe says it's the fire that comprise. I mean, it's the whole story about Shem to the Messenger Maggid. He says, okay, I've said this so many times, I don't want to bore you. You know, the whole thing about he's got to deliver his Torah with passion, and that is what it means, the Rebbe says, our Rebbe, to bring tzaddikim to do tshuva, because he became his disciple at that moment. Okay, that's that. Today's Hayom Yom speaks about fire in your learning, but it didn't mention fire yet. It says chayas. But look, as I learned halacha, when you learn a law in Torah, okay, it seems like, oh, don't carry something in the public domain on Shabbos. That seems very like, okay, God, where are you? That's just a law. Where do I see God in that? That's the inner dimension of Torah. So, if you don't have that, you're living a very dry life. Try it, and you'll have a juicy life. You'll be a juicy Jew. I spoke about that. Ad mitzui nefesh, Tanya, enjoins us. Ad mitzui nefesh. You have to cleave to God. Ad mitzui nefesh. I brought various sources about that. Incredible idea. Squeeze out your soul. Okay, well, that's chayas. Okay. As er lernt halacha und veis, as the zelba halacha veter lernen nach meves mishana, that when a person reaches 120 years and he goes to the next world, he's going to learn the same halacha in Gan Eden. In Gan Eden, get as a rein up, a viral. Okay, if you consider how this, you'll be able to learn this halacha in Gan Eden, the same halacha that you're learning now that you don't understand, that you just say, oh, it's a plain law. But you'll be able to see how that is God's will. You'll be able to like connect with God through that idea in Gan Eden. And that will be also experienced, yes, in the simple sense of being in an orchard full of like delicacies, mitzuim ka'afar, as common as dust. That's what we're talking about. And if you're not into that, not for me. You should be watching me. It's prohibited. Okay, so I don't know. The commentaries don't say too much on that, so I'm going to just jump into my topic. But that, okay, it does tell you to look at the previous day's Hayom Yom, which speaks about the same thing, same idea. But I don't know. I really want to get into this mimer with you, if anyone's around. I think Chamisha Sar B'Av is like the greatest day. I didn't even make that up. Okay, the Rebbe has to justify it because nobody understands it. It puts it before Yom Kippur in the Mishnah. I think in Tainis. It says, Lo hayu yom tevim l'Yisrael ke Chamisha Sar B'Av ve'Yom Kippurim. Okay, these great days. Yom Kippur, is that your favorite holiday? But it puts Chamisha Sar B'Av, 2 B'Av. I'll get to why 2 is important. Because the 15. It's actually doubled 15. Maybe that's where I got, no, that doesn't make sense. But it's like 30 because the Rebbe in this mimer that I have here connects it with the shape of the Mishkan, the architecture of the Mishkan. And this has tremendous significance and relevance to what I'm talking about. Because it had an outer courtyard or maybe the inner courtyard. No, maybe the inner courtyard. Okay, it's 50 by 100. That must be the outer courtyard. Yeah, because the Kachik Kadashim is only 10 amas wide. So if we're talking 50 amas wide, that's the outer courtyard. But it came around in the front, I guess facing Mizrach, the east, with 2 flanks of 15 amas. And then you had 20 amma gate in the middle, so you have 50 amas wide. You have that 5 again, right? Okay, 5 is an awesome number here. We're going to see the relevance of that. I spoke about the same number in a different context completely way long ago now, 5 months ago. Because I had this, I couldn't understand why it's, specifically 500 times God's quality of good is more so than his quality of severity. 500 times, why it's specifically that number. But I think in yesterday's Chitas, or the day before, we also learned about 1,000 times or 2,000 times. Alpayim shana. How many years, or how many was it generations that does God reward? Is it 2,000 or 1,000? One's from fear. If you serve God for fear, it's 1,000 years or 1,000 generations, whatever it is. And if you do it out of love, then it's 2,000. You get it like a double effect, but it's also multiples of 500. Okay, you're not interested in math, nor am I. I'm interested in Chamisha Sar B'Av, and to understand that we have to look into math a little bit. So, okay, I was explaining there why 500 is significant. I was saying it's, so I related it to, because between each rakia, each firmament, each sector of space, it's a journey of 500 years. So I spoke about journeys, and that was my 500. Because why 500 times greater is God's reward than his severity, his beneficence, his benevolence rather, than his severity. Why 500 times? So that was my idea, was once you're on the journey, then you realize you've attained your goal, and therefore 500 significance is about attaining goals. It's a journey of 500 years. Light years? Okay, I don't know how fast we're walking in those times. So Chamisha Sar B'Av, you have the flanks, and the Rebbe says this is the source of 15th of Av. It's before it was even recognized. The whole thing came about from the sin of the spies, right? And they were going to die for 40 years in the desert. Not all at once. Moshe was able to arouse mercy for them. They were not going to be just eviscerated. They're going to die gradually, so people wouldn't say God took them out to kill them in the desert. So the Meraglim, that generation, the people who suffered because of that sin that they were all sort of part of, they would die every year on the 9th of Av. They would dig their own graves, lie down, and wouldn't wake up in the morning. And it happened the final year after 40 years. God was nice and counted from previous time, and therefore the next generation would live. And that the only is recognizable, the fullness of the moon on the 15th of Av. I'm talking about this still because I think this is awesome. This is the greatest holiday, okay? We have to take this through our whole year. We're learning about, so Shabbos was right, falling, like it's all a continuation. The 15th of Av is the greatest day, okay? It's greater than Yom Kippur. What's Yom Kippur? We've spoken about that a few times. It has to do with the Luchos Achronis, the second tablets, which is a marriage between the Jewish people and God. The more private, it was done without fanfare. It's more of a subtle relationship, more pure relationship, more intimate relationship. Because it wasn't for everybody. It wasn't the noise. At the first giving the Torah Shavuos, we celebrate the thunder and lightning. But this was quiet. So this is the greatest holiday of all, and it's represented in the Mishkan because you have these 15 Amma flanks. That's the source in the Torah. So we know that before it happened, which was on the 15th of Av, they stopped dying. Okay, that's the later event. That's the first time it was recognized as a holiday. But before that, the Rebbe says we have the idea of 15 in the flanks. And what does that represent? What does 15 represent? It represents God's name Yud-K, which we're actually learning about in Tanya the past few days, if I remember correctly. So the idea is, since we have two Yud-Ks on either flank, it represents this relationship between the two parts of God's name, Yud-K and Vav-K. Vav-K represents the lower unity of God, that there's a world and we submit. The first Yud-K is there's only God. There's no world, really. It's a higher unity. That's generally, I think, what the difference is. But in the future to come, the Yud-K of Hashem, the 15, the Vav-K is going to be elevated to that level. The latter half of God's name is going to be elevated to the level of Yud-K, so you're going to have two Yud-Ks. And it says what that means in this Maimer. Maybe I won't go inside. Maybe I'll just tell you ideas. Yes. There's two unities. I spoke about this around Pesach time, okay? Because it was very relevant to Kriyas Yam, the birth of the nation. Okay, there's a whole birthing process of the nation in Pesach time. And it spoke there in the mimer that I found in Derech Mitzvah the Tzemach Tzedek. It spoke there about this birth that you have Yud K doesn't get up to Vav K, but it didn't speak in those terms. Rather, it spoke about two Yichudim. Yichud. Okay, before I spoke about Yichud Ilah, Yichud Tata, but in this context, it's Yichud Ava, the unity that happens in God's mind, which is Abba ve'Ima. They unite, right? Father and mother. You want to have a productive relationship? You have Chabad, which is Chochma and Bina. You have masculine intelligence and feminine intelligence. And that is a constant union. Thought always flows. It's a river. But more so than that, the intellect always is present. Because this is a higher level than thought. Good morning. So that's Yichud Ava. Gotta know that. I spoke about it a lot around that time in Pesach time. Then there's Yichud Zun. Yichud Zun is you. Yichud Ava is like God. If you want to tap into total bittul, I'm not claiming to experience. Okay, that's not what I mean. But if you're trying to understand what this is about, you can imagine a state where you're completely dveikus, that you cease to exist. That's Yichud Ava. Yichud Zun, I would say, if you want to put that in emotional, like spiritual terms, that would be more like a yearning. I think that's what it said there in the Mimer. So it says that yearning, it's represented here. It's actually mentioned in this Mimer, that it says about you. Okay, first the Yichud Avo and train Reim Delay Misparshin. I think it's a Zayar. It says they are two friends, two lovers, rather, that never separate. They're always in a state of union, of dveikus. That's an intellectual, spiritual dveikus. That's the level of neshama, probably, if you want to use the terms that Rebbe Shab speaks about in Kunshas HaVeda. I mean, that's an incredible work that I spoke about early on in my career. Right? So, Yichud Ava, father and mother, Chochma and Bina, wisdom and understanding, that is a constant unity. That's only represented by unity and oneness. But Yichud Zun, which are the emotional attributes, and Malchus, which is the receiving of all of those emotions and then expressed in speech. There's two levels, and Malchus is very complicated. But mostly it's associated with speech and communicating, a relationship. There's no relationship at the Yichud Avo. There is no you and me. It's all a oneness. Okay? It's a mystical experience of a oneness. If you have a relationship and you could actually be one with the person and just melt into each other, okay, I don't know if that's appropriate to speak about. I think it is. I have no problem with it. But that's because people they're not even aware that it exists. And I think that's very sad. It's the same quality that allows a person not to say good morning back when they're said good morning to in the morning, which I think is scullous. To me, that's what it means. There's no difference between this world and the next world except Shibud Malchus Bilvad. It's just that we're not going to be subjugated to other governmental forces. That's the way I interpret it. You're going to say hello to someone in the street, okay? There's no other governments. It's just one unity. Someone walking by, yeah, I want to say hello to you. That's not okay if I'm preoccupied. It's understandable. No, I don't mean that. If you just have nothing on your mind, you're like, no, I'm not going to say hello to you. That's so weird. So Yichud Zun, I said it's associated with yearning. How do we see that? Because it says Zivugam Hu Rak Liprakim. They only have intermittent unity. It's a Zayar. And it quotes it in a mimer, Malukat Chelik Beis, which I brought. No, I didn't bring with me, but I want to take that with me in the cottage. If I don't have any internet, I'm going to learn that later. Because I think this is an incredible topic. And there I think it elaborates it on that topic. I said I learned it from the Tzemach Tzedek's mimer. I want to see the Rebbe's take on it, his approach to it. But Zivugam Hurak Leprakim, the way I understood it, and when the Tzemach Tzedek spoke about that, is this idea of yearning. Since it's intermittent, they always yearn for those moments of unity. Now it's said that that level is going to be elevated. That intermittent experience of you connect, you don't connect, you connect, you don't connect. Good morning, Mom. That's awesome that you come. So Yichud Zun, this unity at the lower level when there's two, when you have a relationship, and that's intermittent now in our times, it says in the future to come, that is going to be continual, just like Yichud Avah, the higher level of unity. The unity associated with mind. This is associated with heart and speech, with relationships. That lower level of unity. That level where you exist, where there can be a yearning, there could be an intermittent unity. That level will be elevated to the Yichud Avah, where it's constant. So you're going to have both at the same time. You're still going to have the Yichud Zun, but it's going to be elevated. So you're going to have you and me, but also that experience of constant union. Now that is Mashiach, okay, right there. If you want to understand it, that's what the Rebbe is talking about right here. The Rebbe speaks a lot of different perspectives on how to understand what Mashiach is about, what redemption is about. This is a very general model for it. So it really encompasses everything. Because if you understand what Yichud means, connecting, that means you simply that you understand yourself. If you understand yourself and what drives you, Rabbi Merkur posted something incredible about this idea, about elevating your motivating factors. What drives you? Elevating that and the importance of that and how to do it. I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't have my iPad with me right now. It's charging for the cottage, which I may not have. Who knows what. So the Rebbe says that that's what this whole flanks thing, the 15, the two 15s represent. That the 15 of Yud-K, of God's name, is going to be experienced by Vav-K also. It's going to be elevated to that level. And we have that as a model in the Mishkan, even though it's going to only be realized in the Beis HaMikdash, which has completely different dimensions, way bigger. The third, the final, eternal holy temple, that has different dimensions, but we have the source in the Mishkan because everything is alluded to in the Torah. The Rebbe proves this by the idea that all redemptions are sourced in the Exodus from Egypt, and that is the source for that energy throughout all of history for the Jews to be redeemed and then ultimately and eternally redeemed. The source for that was also in the Exodus from Egypt. Everything has a source in the Torah. The Torah, they had a Mishkan. They didn't have, at that time, the Holy Temple. That came later in Tanakh. Where in Malachim base, probably. Shlomo Melech. He built the first base of English, so that's where it appears in Torah. But the Chumash has to contain everything. Even like Megillas Esther, everything is alluded to in the Torah. And the Chachamim, the sages, look for sources for the Megillah. When they're canonizing it, they only canonize it if it fit in with the Torah. Otherwise, it was rejected. Even things that could be misconstrued, rejected. Nebuchadnezzar, Yimach Shemai, wrote a work that was more beautiful than Shlomo Melech Shir in the Song of Songs, King Solomon. Or sorry, I think I said that wrong. I think it was the Tehillim of David. He wrote a book of songs like the Tehillim, like Psalms of David HaMelech, and they put it away. They didn't canonize it. They allowed it to be forgotten because it was too beautiful, and then you'd be like connecting with this Russia, Marush, I mean, or something like that. Or you could, not that it's negative. He actually channeled something good. But that, to give him that honor, they didn't want David HaMelech to lose out on that. Because David HaMelech is Malchus. That's Anis Fila. I'm prayer. That's what David was, prayer. That's what Malchus is, speech. Prayer, sicha, conversation, connection. So we have these two 15s, and that appears in 515, which we just came from Parshas Veschanan, that Moshe Rabbeinu davened 515 times to have the experience of unity of God within the earth, going into the land. He wanted that ultimate experience, which would have been Mashiach. Okay, we're learning about what it's going to be like when Mashiach comes. That would have been if Moshe Rabbeinu went into the land, but God didn't want that. He wanted there to be a zun, the experience of yearning, intermittent connections. We have the first base that makes the Holy Temple, another one, then we're going to have the eternal one where the intermittent relationship, the realization of a intimacy with God, okay, which means with everyone, real relationships, not like, texting all the time or whatever. Real relationships. Those are the moments of unity. And that was first Holy Temple, the second Holy Temple, but ultimately that intermittentness and taking the benefit or the positive aspect of that, which is this romantic yearning that it represents. The yearning towards someone rather than feeling completely one with them, which is the ultimate. So that intermittent aspect will be maintained, but you're going to have it eternally. And that's my own chiddush. Okay, the Rebbe doesn't say that here. But I think that's what he's talking about. So the number 515 is significant because 5 represents the 5 aspects of benevolence times 100, which is how they integrate with all the others, their characteristics. Okay, and that's God wanted an integrated world, so He made it that each sphera in the world of Tikkun, of the world that we live in, will be each aspect, each attribute, will be intermingled with the others, so that there's this unity, this integration, this integrity that's expressed at all levels, driven by the center beam, of course, which is significant in many ways, especially to do with the Mishkan, the center beam that goes through it. Right? Is that what it's called? So it's 515 prayers in Parshas V'Eschanan. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to have this unity in the earth. He wanted this that we're talking about, this constant experience of unity through yearning, what did I call that before? The ecstasy of yearning, I think I called it. That's what it's talking about here. Okay, look that one up. So you're gonna have these 5 attributes of kindness, of benevolence, of God wanting to just shine upon you, expressed through the idea of 15. So 515, and we'll see what that means if we get that far. But it's still early, isn't it? No, it's getting late. Okay, now we'll do a little bit more. Good morning. So it explains 2 different levels. If it's Atik, Hey Chasan Atik. Okay, I'm not gonna. That's a whole topic. You're gonna get what Atik is, the difference between that and Arich. Okay. Just know here that it's got the number 500 is significant. And okay, maybe that resonates with what I said in the beginning with some of the other ideas of 500. Yeah, that is positive attribute is 500 times more than his punishing attribute. Okay, the 15 cubit long flanks of each part of the Mishkan that we just described. Okay, I'm not going to go into that, but it says it represents the Yud-Kei, and on Chamisha Asar B'Av, it's the revelation of this. So Chamisha Asar B'Av is all about revelation. On Tisha B'Av, Mashiach was born. It says here in the Maimer. Quotes this whole idea. It's incredible. It brings the whole story in the Yerushalmi of the cow braying once or mooing, whatever you call it, once, and then the second time that represented the destruction of the base of English. He brayed again, and that represented the birth of the savior of the Jewish people. Right? Can we use that term? The savior of the Jewish people, Mashiach Shel Yisrael. It says that happened on Tisha B'Av, but it wasn't revealed. Okay, you have a birth. You can't see the greatness in an infant. You don't know that is, okay, the other religions made a really big deal about this idea of identifying the baby. That became like a big part of their religion. But we have a source for it in our Torah, in the real Torah. It's pretty awesome. But the birth is not the main thing to celebrate. We will celebrate that, right? Some people say that the Yud Aleph Nisan is exactly 9 months after Tisha B'Av. So that it's like the conception and then the birth. But the whole idea of Tisha B'Av is a concealed birth. You have this, usually birth represents revelation. Here it doesn't. That birth is like the birth of the moon in this case. And okay, the 9th of by the 9th of the month, it's not exactly just a shred, but it's not the fullness either. And it's contrasted here because they would die in the 9th of Av, and when they had the fullness of the moon, the same Mispar, those who died in the desert, like I just described in the beginning, that would happen in Tisha B'Av. They only knew on the 15th. So the 15th represents revelation. The fullness of the moon represents revelation. I spoke about the great image I had. I woke up at like 4 a.m. in the canoe trip, and there was this full moon almost. Okay, it was like a day before the full moon. In the sky, just lighting up the whole forest was lit up. There was no stars. I couldn't see any stars, which was a bit of a shame. But this moon was incredible, especially leading up to the 15th of Av, which is entirely associated with the fullness of the moon. And the moon, of course, is the idea of Malchus, the feminine attribute. And it speaks about that in this mimer, and it's really amazing. The reason it says we say Nachem on Mincha of Tisha B'Av, this prayer about being consoled on Tisha B'Av, the darkest day, which is the day when Mashiach was born, because when you have the destruction, the Rebbe says here, even before that, they had, I don't know if it sorts the idea of the Kruvim. We're embracing, you know. It says some other example, I can't remember here. But it speaks about here that Tisha B'Av is the beginning process, the harshness, but the beginning of a process when you don't realize the greatness of the birth of the Mashiach Shel Yisrael, but the revelation of that happens on the 15th, the Shleimus of the moon, which is the 15 generations from, I think, Avraham to Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, when it's said that the Jewish people reached the zenith of their revolution, or whatever you call it, that the moon's growth till its fullness was that part of our generationally, that generation, the generation of King Solomon, when we had the Holy Temple, he built it. So we say Nachem on Tisha B'Av because Neilad Mashiach Nikram Nachem, because then was born Mashiach, who his name is Menachem. That's Shar HaKavanas. Okay, that's the Arizal. Menachem. Okay, it says there Mashiach's name is Menachem. Do we know anyone else with that name? Menachem Shmai. It says in the Gemara. Here's another source for that. So it only became clear, like if that was the conception on Tisha B'Av, Yud Aleph Nisan, you want to count the days, see if it's 9 months, according to the lunar calendar. Okay, see if that works. Okay. Oh, speaks about here. Amazing thing. V'az niskal gam hakavana pnimis shel b'chia b'tisha b'av harishain. These are golden words. Good morning. It says, then it will be revealed the inner intent of the crying, the wailing of the suffering, the Jewish people that's expressed on Tisha B'Av. It says that there's a me'ain, there's an experience, a premonition of the actual redemption that happens on the 15th of Av. I hope you all felt that this Friday, and through Shabbos, and through today, and through the rest of the year, because the source of this is the source of all. This is the greatest of all Yom Tov. You don't even know what I'm talking about, right? 15th of Av, come on, get with the program. That's the greatest of all holidays. The Rebbe proves it's even greater than Yom Kippur. Okay, there's a mimer that says Purim is greater than Yom Kippur. Here's a source that says the 15th of Av is the greatest, even greater than Purim. But it says it will reveal the inner meaning of our suffering when Mashiach comes. Okay, I've spoken about this at great length. Look up. Vayivku ha'am balayla hahu. That's a verse in the Chumash, okay? That they cried in that night. It must be talking about the Meraglim. Shayideze nikva b'chia l'deres. And because of that, it says in Tainus, Gemara Tainus, that because of that crying, that they stayed up that night crying, and they ended up dying on the 9th of Av every year, but it's going to be generationally. They'd suffer through generations because of that. Because, you know, okay, it's negative, right? But that's only for the sake of there being a positive type of crying in the future to come. It says in Yirmiyahu 31:8. It says you're going to come to, I guess, Jerusalem, to Tzion. You're going to come in tears. You're going to go there in tears. B'chia shel simcha, though. Where does it say that? It says that in Eretera. B'vayu yavayu k'may habaycha merev simcha. sorry, bebechi. I'm not reading right because the letters are so small. You're going to come in crying to the future redemption. Kamei habaycha merev simcha. Like one who cries because of so much joy. We learn this from the crying that led to Tisha B'Av. But at Tisha B'Av was the birth. The salvation was planted then, or birthed really, and only come to be fully realized in the 15th of the month, which is the 15th of Av. The greatest contrast is expressed specifically in this month. That's why the moon is associated, the shleimus of the moon, the wholeness of the moon is associated specifically with the 15th of Av, as opposed to any other month which had on the 15th of their month, Pesach you have Sukkot, okay? Our great festivals are specifically on the full moon. Right, so that is going to be realized in the future redemption, which is an experience on the 15th of Av, which was this Friday. And that's the crying of tears of joy. Okay, the 15th of Av is the tears of joy. That's the future redemption that we look forward to. We're going to go with tears streaming down our face with so much joy. Shelo yuchal hakeli lahachil. You won't be able to handle it. That's what the Eretera of the Tzemach Tzedek teaches. And I was quoting here in the footnote. You won't be able to handle it. Joy. Do you think you could be pushed to that level? I know you will. Did you have a child? You were a firstborn child? Ever held your firstborn child? Probably you cried of joy. Or at the bris, or whatever you identify with, or a bar mitzvah, or a wedding. Tears of joy means you can't handle the emotion. Good morning. It's tears of joy. That's what the 15th of Av is. That's what we're coming through this, from Friday through Shabbos. It was like, Shabbos blesses the whole week, right? What it is, today's Sunday. I feel like it's like next Tuesday already. Because I already have this like nightmare of not being able to have this connection if I don't get internet. Chas v'shalom. Internet should be that to you. It shouldn't be a dark, seedy place in your soul that you have to express. Have relationships that you're proud of, okay? Good morning. I was walking by. Have relationships that you're proud of. Isn't that what it... Come on, people. Have relationships that you're proud of. Bring God into your relationship. Feel like God wants you to be doing that, just that, right now. And if you don't feel that way, don't do it. I know so many people are in this trap. Be proud of your relationships. I'm not telling you who to talk to, what to talk to. I'm not saying what to talk about. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying you have your own gauge for that. It brings an incredible source here for this. Okay, Valderek Sh'amru Azal, it says in the Zohar, okay, Chelik Aleph Tzadik Ches Amud Beis. It says, Gabe Rabbi Akiva. Good morning. It says about the great sage Rabbi Akiva. Shekesh Hissig Seidis Setera B'Shir Shirim. You want me to go into the Vekas right now? Is that what you... Wouldn't it be awesome if we all did? Didn't Moshe answer Yeshua? Or was it his son? Can't remember. It was Yeshua. Would it be that they all be prophets? Don't be jealous for me. I'm not the only prophet. I want everyone to prophecy. It's going to come back. It's coming back, I promise you. If you're going to be a tzaddik, you'll have prophecy. Right before Mashiach comes, you're going to have prophecy. Don't worry. It's going to happen today. Try me. Focus in. Do it. Get it today. If you did, report back to us. I want to hear about that. I believe you. If I told you I had a prophecy, would you believe me? There's halachas about it when you should believe someone. Oh, okay, so I have to predict in a future event if I'm a prophet. Yeah, okay. Well, that's only if they challenge you. There's only certain circumstances where you challenge the person. But I'm sure if prophecy was to come back, they would challenge that guy who has the audacity to say, yeah, I'm the guy, the first guy. God's telling me something. Someone who has that audacity, I would imagine the public would demand a miracle. But okay, not a miracle or a prediction of the future. That's the test of prophecy. I gave you the test for leadership. You know, if you should be leader, you'll succeed in being a leader. That's the litmus test. God made it that way, so you wouldn't have to embarrass yourself of directing people in the wrong path or something like that, I think. Good morning, Yosef Stein. Awesome man. I want to, reach out to you, Yosef Stein. I think you're awesome, okay? And I think you need a light in your life, and don't think I'm ignoring you, okay? I think you're amazing. I'm a busy man, not by choice, all the time. When I don't have internet, that makes me busy because, my resources were just cut off. It's a different type of busy. Not that I don't want to go away. I love nature. Nature is awesome. What did Rabbi Akiva love? You could love nature. What made Rabbi Akiva cry tears of joy? What? Say it. Say the words. It says in the Zohar, Gabi, Rabbi Akiva, when he conceived of the secrets of the Torah in Shir Shirim, in other words, he learned the Alter Rebbe's Likutei Torah or the Tzemach Tzedek's Eretz Torah in Shir Shirim. Zalgu einav b'dmois. His tears stream from his eyes. Dimai shel simcha mitzad ribui ha'er. You want to know what light is? He cried tears of joy because the great light he had in learning the secrets of Shir Hashirim. Okay, you want to enjoy something? You want to have a lust for something? Look at my coloring book. He cried tears of joy for the secrets in the Alter Rebbe's Likutei Torah. Okay, what would it be other than that? He was learning the secrets of the Torah. It's in line, okay? It's at least in line with the Alter Rebbe's Torah. I promise you that. It says that he went into Paradis, the Paradis of the Torah, which the Rambam writes about this. Someone doubted that there's a source in Torah for this. I showed them this Rambam. They couldn't believe it. There's a source in Niglav Torah for the Paradis. Paradise. What does it mean? Tzadikim yeshivin v'echusayim b'rosheim v'nehenin v'ziva shchina. It's the righteous sitting, okay, on a lawn chair, whatever your equivalent is, or a throne, okay, whatever is your thing, sitting with their crowns in their heads. Okay, there's parts of the body associated with the crown. There's the head. The idea is of the aside, connecting. What really drives you, your fire, right? What makes tzaddikim do tshuva, the fire, because they realize when God's revelations are exposed to them and they're completely intimate with God, they say, I cannot believe I did nothing. Okay, it's for anything to startle you. But that's a moment. You should scream that at one point in your life. Scream that. And that is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, a gilui of that. It's a moment. If you could say that with genuine, you're drawing that into you. That is an expression of that. It can be genuine. So tears of joy from the secrets of the Torah and Shir Hashirim. That's awesome. Okay, it says, the whole idea of Zeh, you're going to point with your finger, you're going to dance, and you're pointing. I spoke about that at length, but here it's quoted. It says, there's a passage that says Zeh Kelev Neveu. That's referring to probably what it's speaking about there about Kriyas Yamsuf, the splitting of the sea. This is my God, and I will praise him. but in the future to come, it says Shnei Pamim Zeh. It says twice Zeh. Hine Elokeinu Zeh. Zeh Hashem Kivinu Lai. So it says it twice. So you have these two 15s. Okay, what's the, yes, Zeh is 7 and 5. Okay, that's 12. Okay, with the word, it's the 13. Oh, why are we, 15 I'm looking for. Sorry. Okay. When they came out of Mitzrayim, which was the source for the future redemption, they only said Zeh once on Kriyas Yam, so the splitting of the sea. Gilui Havaya Dezeranpin. But in the future to come, when we're going to be Balei Tshuva, higher, right? Higher than Tzaddikim. This is when the Tzaddikim do Tshuva. How do you get higher than a Tzaddik? It says, by Mitzias Mitzrayim, Shahayu Azma Madregas Tzaddikim, we were righteous then, but we're higher than after. We're going to be at the level of Baal Tshuva, so that must be hinting at this idea of when the Tzaddikim do Tshuva. In the future to come, you're going to say Zeh twice. You have the 15 twice. You have the Zeranpin, which is usually a yearning, but not a realization. You're going to have that realized also, that the yearning of the intermittent union will be there, intermingled at the higher level of constant union of an intellectual also, experience that extends to the intellect also. And it says that Tshuva Kiflayim L'Tishia. Tshuva repentance makes a doubled salvation, or Teishia, strength. That word is a bit ambiguous. Okay. I think that's probably enough for now. Oh, and here it quotes that idea again in the context. Sorry, I didn't notice this before, but in the context of saying about we're going to be crying tears of joy in the future to come, it says, the revelation will be in the experiential relationship, just like it is in the unity of Dvekis. Like it says, in that day there will be, yeah. Oh, there's the two Yud-Ks, yeah. On that day there will be. You get the two 15s. On that day there will be, yeah. Shem Echad, Shmei Echad. God will be one, and His name will be one. So you have the two aspects there, the Kiflayim L'Tishia, the doubled aspect of when Tzaddikim do Tshuva. Okay, that's only a hint here that it's talking about Tzaddikim doing Tshuva. I'm just learning that out. It says Balei Tshuva, but it's a higher level, so it's, in a sense, it surpasses the Tzaddikim anyways. Okay, I think that's basically the point I wanted to talk about in that mimer. I have homework, right? To look up that other mimer quoted and look at base. That's my homework. Maybe I'll write about that. I don't know. I have to post my latest. I posted about Av already, about 15th of Av rather, and then I posted something else. So when we go out of that mode, maybe I'll post. But I got to do it probably before I leave, because I don't know if I'm gonna have a signal. I drive to the local library like a million years away to get a signal. I've never done that before. I went to a shul once for a signal. Yeah, it had a horrible signal in a cottage country. Okay. 8:30. I know I did it early this morning, especially for Sunday. But that's because of my plans to drive for 3 hours somewhere. To be away from everything. I don't know. That's what it is. Hopefully I'll have some, thank you. Hopefully I'll have some internet connectivity. Okay, because this is what I live for. I want people to be inspired about Geula that's happening now. If you don't feel it's happening now, change your life so that you can feel it's happening now. Usually that has to do with introducing health to your life. That's my advice to people about what change you need. Things that lead to a greater health and integrity. Integrity is another key factor, which I think is really one and the same. It's balance associated with Midas HaTiferes, which is integrity, is health. It's having a good balance. Rambam says that, okay? That's my source for that. Hilchos Deis, I believe, near the beginning of the Yad HaChazaka. Okay, so that was awesome. So if I don't see you the next, till Friday or work, that's not good. I don't think I could do this recorded shares. I don't think I could do it. I would have to really have an imagination to be able to do that. It's not about me giving a class. It's about ideas coming out and evolving, and understanding that we could like share it in the moment. I need that to make it. It's my fuel. I want to feel that there's an emotional connection right now. I think that that's possible in this medium. Okay, what do I mean by emotional? That could be misunderstood. I mean that I want the fire to be catchy. If I'm staying on a tape like most people talk, I don't know. That doesn't inspire me. I wouldn't do it to you. It has to be this. It has to be the enthusiasm that made disciples for the Baal Shem Tov. That's what the Rebbe says is bringing tzaddikim to do tshuva. The fire that inspires. That I don't think that could happen on a recorded share. I'm not an actor. They can record it. You don't want it to leak out. You don't want it to be live. They could do that because they're actor. I'm not. This is an act. That would be horrible. So this is a genuine experience. You know? Stop, unwind on your vacation, then come back with fire. I can't do that. There's an urgency. The Rebbe said today, you know, life is not just sitting on a lawn chair. I cannot do that. The Rebbe is sitting, in my opinion, and I got in trouble. They censored me from saying this in Beis Mashiach. I for the first time ever, I think, I took out words. And I agreed, I saw why they did it. They didn't let me say that the Rebbe is sitting outside the gates of the Garden of Eden. I know the Rebbe was referring to himself also. They didn't let me say it. The Rebbe, I could prove it so clearly that the Rebbe said that about himself, that it could be that such a scenario. Of course, yes, I believe the Rebbe is in the world. Of course, I don't know what that means. I'm not going to tell you what metaphysically that means. I'm not a metaphysician yet. I'm not Dr. Merkur. If that makes any sense, which it doesn't. So yeah, I believe, because the Rebbe said this about the Frierdiker Rebbe, who said it about the Berditchever Rebbe, and the Rebbe says in other cases that when the Rebbe says about another Rebbe, he's talking about himself also, unless he indicates otherwise, which they don't. Everything that applies to a previous Rebbe applies to them. Good morning. So the Rebbe said this about the Frierdiker Rebbe, he meant it about himself also. And yes, I don't want to say the Rebbe is in Gan Eden, but do you think it's Tzaddik not in touch with their aspect of them that's in Gan Eden, the Tzaddik like the Rebbe? The Baal Shem Tov writes about that in the Erev Rosh Hashanah. He writes a letter to his brother-in-law, and in detail his experience about his soul flying up to heaven. And he saw souls that were existing in the world right now, and souls that had already passed on and only are in heaven. He talked about the difference between them and how high they went together, and they came to Heichel Mashiach. He writes about this in great detail. A tzaddik, okay, so at that point, okay, so the Baal Shem Tov there was alive, and he was in Gan Eden. It's not a contradiction. Don't be an idiot. People are so crazy. Didn't have to censor me there. That's nuts. It's not in line with our Vad HaRuchni. Give me a break. I don't even believe it. I think half of the Vad HaRuchni would be sympathetic to what I said. There's two people in the Vad HaRuchni when I was in Crown Heights. Both people I respect very much, but one has a different sheet, I think. Rami Jeski is the one who's I'm in line. I think I'm in line. I think I very much respect. I have a different approach now, but he was a foundation of mine, at least. I mean, obviously he's doing good work now. I don't really know, because if you're going to teach a woman's class, I'm probably not going to hear it. And if you don't go on video, he used to have a lot of audio clips. I don't think you can get in modern formats anymore. It's unfortunate. He had like all the stories of sisters I used to listen to while working, and it was incredible. It was distracting. I couldn't really work so well, and that's rare for me. I can multitask like a pro, like a cowboy. A two-gun kid. I can multitask. Well, it says about the Frierdiker Rebbe, and I'm not saying I can do this. He was ambidextrous, so he could write two different things at the same time, with both hands at the same time. Two different things, okay? That's multitasking. And if it's the Frierdiker Rebbe doing it like a Rebbe, you can bet that he was in both of those letters. I can't understand that. It says that a physical object cannot be in two places at a time. But it also says in Tanya about a tzaddik, they're not physical people. Which actually tells you something about other people, because I think is said specifically about a tzaddik at the level of a rebbe or a tzaddik gomer. So imagine the tzaddik she'ena gomer might not have that, and therefore they're also like in a different, like in the world that the normal person would be in. I wonder if you could infer that, if that's a proper derivation. I'm not sure. What does Tanya say? He's got a little bit of evil in him, but it's batal. It's nullified. And it's expressed in the fact that he doesn't hate evil completely. And if he doesn't hate evil completely, there could have some connection to the physical world. So I think it fits in. You're a tzaddik. What makes you think you aren't? Okay, I know I'm not a tzaddik. I thought I was a tzaddik for a very short time. And I'll tell you when I get back there, okay? I'm working on it. Often people feel like their circumstance makes it that I can't be a perfect tzaddik. I don't like any excuses for it. There's integrity that you can have in every aspect of your life, and you have to be the judge of that for yourself in your own life, because no one else's business. So it doesn't become something that you can talk about, but it's something that's very real, and that's your whole purpose in life. To find that area, find what's good about it, work it out, don't repress it. Thank you. Thank you. What does it feel like to be a tzaddik? How would you know you're a tzaddik? For one thing, you wouldn't be driven to things that are against God's will. You wouldn't be driven to do an avera. The problem is the person always makes calculations. Given my circumstances, what would the Torah say? Or maybe I'm going to feign ignorance about certain things and not review the halachas and not understand them. Or there could be a mistrust of Rabbanim, the way they interpret things, because there is an interpretation that happens at almost every level. Translations, I know as a translator, when I put modern terms, I use the word anxiety in something that was happening like, it was about the Sadia Gon, which would be like 1,000 years ago. I'm using the word anxiety. I think again, it was a different story. I can't remember for sure. But it was at least hundreds of years ago, and I'm using the word anxiety, or 100 years ago. No, I don't know. It was 100 years ago. I don't think they had that word in the lexicon. So when you do that, you're taking you're in some role of authorship. So there's a mistrust. That authorship you're always concerned about when you hear halacha from a rabbi, and you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to have that distrust. You have to trust that they're speaking God's will to you. I've got advice. I've heard different opinions about this. My friend regretted. He was like a mashpia of mine, someone who gave me a haskama to get my original position as editor of Beis Mashiach. He helped me get the job. And he said he regrets not going to his brother's wedding or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it was a mixed. I don't remember the details, but it's just something he regretted, that he got advice. He shouldn't have asked the question. He thought. I think if I remember correctly, his advice to me, I think that's what he said. And I'm like, I did that a number of times that destroyed relationships. So, is that something you don't ask? And you go to how could you go to a wedding that's intermarriage? It's a very difficult topic. I don't know the answer. I don't feel good about not going to certain weddings. I don't feel good about it. Sometimes are you forced to do things you don't feel good about? Therefore, do you have integrity? Or is that the ultimate act of submission? You don't understand the halacha. I'm just going to do it. I'm sorry. Please try and forgive me. That's the approach I took. I don't know if I regret that or not. If I have any regrets in my whole life, that will probably be one of them. Most other times you could forgive anything, right? But when it comes to hurting people, that's hard. That's a real regret. When you burn bridges, if it's not just about money, I mean a real relationship. When you do that, that's a regret in life. Because it says, Megalglin schus al yedei zakai. God makes good things happen through good people, and not good things happen through not good people. Good morning, Andrew Novak. So you want to feel like you're a good person, and therefore good things should unfold through you. You never want to hurt somebody. That is a very serious thing. You can't have a real relationship with Hashem if you don't care about hurting other people. I mean, there's Hayom Yoms, look out, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, all about that. That is love of God, is love of your fellow. So to be insensitive to other people is a real regret, in my opinion. And other things, bein adam makayim, it's a very personal thing. Between you and God, it's a very personal thing, and it's just between you and God. It's completely unique. Other people can't judge you. It's your own thing. I mean, there's halachas about all those things, obviously. And there's advice about what happens if you don't follow these advice. But ultimately, that's a very personal thing. The regret there, I think, is less in a sense. Because you're not hurting a person. That's a basic human quality that you have to be a decent person. Like the foundation. And you can prove that probably in a million ways. So I'm not going to bore you with trying to figure out a source right now. Have a great day, everyone. I really hope to see you tomorrow, or tonight even. I mean, I would do it all the time if I lived in such a world. Maybe one day. Or bring every night. That's what Rabbi Lipsker did when he started yeshiva. I want to start a yeshiva. Anyone out there that shares a vision with me, talk to me. I want to start a yeshiva. I want to be for bringing every night. I want to inspire people. I don't care if they're like out of the box people. I don't care if they're 50 years old or 15 years old. I want a kolo. I want a yeshiva. I want a shul. Why? Because I can add a lot of light to the world. I don't want to have to work in business my whole life. I don't mind earning money. That's great. I don't mind doing what I can. But I want to devote my life to these things. Yes, if you do that, what a partnership that would be. You'd be Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Yeshiva, head accountant, you could have all of it. Kibudim, your name, your schus, Yisachar Zvulun. I'm talking to you like you're the CEO. Okay. Maybe you mean spiritual. I'm not saying what kind of situation. Okay, you could dream, right? If you don't have dreams, that would be my dream. That is my dream. Why? I don't care. The truth is, I don't care if I'm a rabbi on a yacht. That, if someone puts me on a yacht and people are like Club Medding on the yacht, and I'm in that environment, I'll make a yeshiva on a yacht. People, if you have money, if you're a billionaire, be inventive to bring Mashiach to the world. Come on, what are you waiting for? Sorry I lost someone there because of yelling at them. Are you the billionaire out there? I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to your soul. You might not ever hear this. I'm speaking to your soul. I know at least one worthy person of this. Okay? And someone that, okay, whatever. Just trust me. A soulmate of mine, okay? He happens to be male. I think you could have male soulmates. Do you? Is there such a thing? Where is the paradigm of love? David and Yonasan. They must have been soulmates, right? Good morning. They must have been soulmates. You could have a male soulmate. If they're the paradigm of love, of true love, is two men, and I'm talking platonic, obviously. Specifically, it had to be two men. Rabbi Wagner explained it to me. Because if it wasn't two men, unless you're a tzaddik gama, we were just explaining there's some connection, a chizah in the gashmias of the world. There's some relationship to the physicality of the world, not just in the shemayim, right? Well, I mean, I can't speak for Moshe Rabbeinu. I know he's not like Eliyahu Navi, who took his body with him, and Moshe Rabbeinu was 9 months. Eliyahu Moshe was 7 months. Okay, we'll have to get into that another time. I'm supposed to be bringing everything down now so I can go to face the world and daven. So yeah, I think the message today was tears of joy. Tears of joy. I think that's the message. Okay, we're talking about soulmates. Can you have a male soulmate? And okay, and then you could, I'm like, well, I want to speak to this person's soul. Say, have a vision with me. You had a vision with another very good friend of mine. We were all like 3 people that you could not separate. We were that close. And okay. Look it up. And but I want to speak to the souls of people like that and say, I have a vision that I want to make a lot of light in the world. You might not want to do that. You might want to drive a dune buggy in South America or wherever it was, Central America. One of my friends did this. He did it for a month. I said, what's going to happen to your company? It's growing like crazy. How could you possibly leave? He said, the company runs itself. I don't know if he'd say that today, but he did then, years and years ago. Dune buggy. So that's an image. That resonates, right? I want to make a Mashiach dune buggy. I want to be on a yacht with a yeshiva on a yacht. Think about how geschmack that would be. How many people would want to go away on this kollel that's like, it goes every 7 days or something like that. Oh, have vision. It's not just about money. I don't care about money. I want to have a nice suit so you listen to me. I want to have a nice car so you listen to me. The fact that I do this in a car is like embarrassing. There's also a practical reason. There's no time. But if I was established as like the yacht rabbi, who cares if there's no time? Who's to tell you what time you should walk into work if you're the yacht rabbi? You think I need money in my bank? I don't care. I don't. It'd be nice to know that I'm not going to starve to death when I'm 72. That would be a comforting feeling. But I don't know. I want to live my dreams. If I had $1 billion, I would be the yacht rabbi. I hate yachts. I don't hate yachts. I love yachts. But I haven't done it in a long time, so I tell myself I hate yachts. I had a great time on a yacht when I was a kid, okay? I was crazy. This is my down period. It's extended because I don't know if I'm going to be able to speak to you tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. To me, that's a horror show. So I'm having fun with you. I was in a yacht when I was like 18. Don't put me on a yacht when I'm 18. Okay? Now it would be different. Now I'd be the yacht rabbi. I think that's more appropriate. They had a casino on this yacht. Yeah, that's the only time I think I've ever been in a yacht. This yacht cruise. I don't know, Barbados. I don't know where it was. You think I ever knew where I was? I went out with my friends, the same guys. I didn't know where I was going. They take me. I can't pronounce the word. Simcha Claire, I call it. They take me there, and then we go downtown to Yorkville. I didn't know where I was. Don't tell me. I don't know where to drive. Don't let me drive. They'd have to tell me all the time because I wouldn't know. And you didn't want me driving anyways. But I was a better driver than some of them. I spoke about something happened my birthday. One of them was driving. We crashed. It was horrible. Okay, is this Chamisha Sar B'Av? Is this the Tu B'Av, the tulips? Oh, what did I write about the tulips? It's not in front of me. That's a shame. The tulips. What did I write? Oh, could someone post it, please? It's like 3 lines. That's 6 words. Type it for me. I'm sad because lost my only love. It's not your only love if it's lost. So I don't think you could say that. It won't be lost if it's your only love. It will return. I think everyone has a Besherter. And I think you can have a male soulmate also. I mean, David HaMelech, who was his Besherter? Bathsheba. He had that. Can someone please post there's 5 people watching. Someone please post that haiku. I put it there as a description, no? Why can't they show it to me? Like, it doesn't show my screen. Whatever. Okay, I'll have to speak about that. It will be a lost moment. Okay, I'm going to then wish you a excellent day, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, and we can continue. Maybe I'll get that other mimer going.